I thought I would give you a non-slide talk after dinner, really on the topic of NATF, to tell you more about NATF. NATF call it some of the untold stories. And although NATF is about 6 years old as an organization, the story really goes back about 12 years ago from now, where we started to notice, and this was especially Dr. Jawed Fareed, Dr. Artsah Sahara, that thrombosis had a little bit of a role in cardiovascular medicine in terms of its emphasis, and pulmonary embolism had some role at pulmonary meetings, though those tended to focus on asthma and chronic lung disease. Even the hematology meetings, which you would think would be a natural fit for thrombosis, most of the action seemed to be on leukemia, lymphoma, and myelodysplastic diseases. So at that time, going back a dozen years or so, some of us felt either ignored or that the field in each of these mega organizations was a bit of a second-class citizen. Above and beyond that, we were struck that even big organizations like American Heart had a place for the lay public to volunteer, and they have multiple scientific committees for cardiologists to join, but there didn't seem to be much interconnection, and that bothered us. And they also seemed to separate those who were doing very important work in development from industry from those who were practicing in the community and those who were in academic medicine. And that bothered us too, because as a founding principle for NATF, we felt that it's really important to bring all these different groups and interest groups together to work together, because ultimately when you're dealing with a thrombosis, whether it's pulmonary embolism or recurrent pulmonary embolism, or whether it's having a thrombus on top of an indwelling central catheter on one arm and then the other arm, you need all the ammunition you can get. You need all the skill sets from everyone. And we decided to incorporate 6 years ago in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a nonprofit organization. I remember when we incorporated, it was done with Goulston Stores, and Judge, I think you recommended them as a very fine agency, legal firm that specializes in helping nonprofits. I remember our lawyers informing me that not to worry, but that 90% of nonprofits in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts fail and have disappeared by the 5-year mark. So I'm really here tonight as president of NATF to tell you that NATF is a very strong organization and that we're only getting stronger. We are, through the help of many consultants who are here with us tonight, we are fiscally fit. And we have a policy of funding NATF through diverse mechanisms. Tonight's program would not have been possible without the sponsorship from Daiichi and from Boehringer, and we're very grateful to these pharmaceutical companies for their contribution. But what we've also developed, and you'll be hearing more about this as we get toward the last quarter of 2012, is really a robust effort in private philanthropy. We'll be conducting our second annual giving program. And I think the message that we want to convey is that NATF is your resource and that we really deliver the state of the art of what there is to be learned in the field of thrombosis. I also want to give you a heads up that we're having a very special philanthropic dinner on March 28, 2013, where Melanie Bloom, who has done more than anyone else in the country, possibly the world, to bring DVT awareness to the forefront, will be our special guest. Her husband, David Bloom, will have been deceased exactly 10 years. And so she's going to talk about how she really made the public aware of DVT. And if she stays on target, she will have a new book about her quest to achieve DVT awareness that I think she might will sign for us at this event, which will be held at the Mandarin Oriental. What I want to also tell you is that we have a brand new website which Erica Dewar has just launched, and it's something that we've been working on literally all year. Thank you, Erica, for launching it. Caroline has been with NATF for a long time. Is she in the room now? Okay. This is also a special day for her, not only because it's our first patient advocacy symposium, but it's also her birthday. Happy birthday, Caroline. I thought what I wanted to do is tell you that the theme of patient advocacy really ties very much together with the latest breaking news in the field of thrombosis. And I thought what I would do is share some up-to-the-minute, late-breaking news from the European Society of Cardiology, a meeting that I returned from that was held in Munich last week. The ESC, as we call it, has become the largest and perhaps the best of the three major cardiology meetings held every year in the world. For many years, American Heart Association had the most number of cardiologists attend, and that was a meeting that is still held every November. And the American College of Cardiology is another very eminent meeting held every March. And the European Society of Cardiology is held at the end of August, when most Europeans are traditionally on holiday. And this meeting has become stronger and stronger over the past decade, and now they get about 35,000 attendees, whereas the American Heart never reached that level, and the AHA and ACC attendance, while still very big meetings, has definitely decreased over the last 5 or 10 years. And what the European Society of Cardiology did is they released at this meeting last week new guidelines on stroke prevention in atrial fibrillation. A very important topic because atrial fibrillation is, first of all, underdiagnosed, and secondly, when it is diagnosed, we know what needs to be done to prevent stroke, and there are novel oral anticoagulants that across the board do a better job and more effective in reducing stroke than warfarin, and perhaps most intriguingly of all, are much safer than warfarin with far fewer bleeding complications. The ESC issued new guidelines last week saying that this new class of anticoagulants is the best option for anticoagulation, whereas previously there had been some waffling about whether warfarin might still be as good under certain circumstances. But the ESC came right out and said, based on the trial evidence, and Christian, as a trialist working in the field, you'll appreciate this, that they had to go with the evidence. And I think this is important for all of us to realize, because as the healthcare system change, there will naturally be a lot of inertia to change to what's now considered the best option for anticoagulation. There will be surveys, including work that I presented at ESC, showed that 40% of those at risk for stroke with atrial fibrillation, even in today's world, are not receiving any anticoagulation whatsoever. So we have a huge public health problem here, because once a stroke occurs, it's an uphill fight to regain function and memory, and it's much better to prevent a stroke than to treat a stroke. And so I think what you're seeing is that we as NATF remain very firmly planted in our quest to do everything to prevent and treat pulmonary embolism. But you see us embracing stroke and becoming more inclusive by including stroke on our agenda as one disease we're going to battle more intensely than we have before. And it just shows that NATF is becoming a more encompassing organization. Another example of how we've really grown and become strong through your support is that today and tomorrow, I think, are perfect examples. We used to have a thrombosis summit as our event. And now, what do we have? We had a youth advocacy event at midday today. We have this excellent patient advocacy symposium that's been very interactive. I think for me personally, we're living out in action what we put in our charter for our dream of what we wanted to happen. And then tomorrow, we not only have the Thrombosis Summit, but our first ever health fair and technology exposition, because I think there's a lot more to being cardiovascularly healthy than medications. A lot of it has to do with heart-healthy lifestyle and habits. And we're going to have different booths, information booths, during the 12:30 to 2 p.m. period. And then an Access to Therapies program will focus on exercise, on nutrition, on issues related to anticoagulation and heparins. And I'll talk about what questions we should be asking our own doctors. So I think the field of thrombosis is moving faster than ever before. I sense a lot of momentum, a lot of excitement, a lot of change that's happening so rapidly. It's difficult even for us to keep up with it. But I think this organization, NATF, is the go-to resource for the latest information on thrombosis, whether it be stroke, pulmonary embolism, or heart attack. These are our strengths, and the strengths are really the people, and I think we have a wide and great representation here. The people are the power. So as president of NATF, I want to thank all of you for your being in the inner circle for this by invitation only symposium. And I'm certain that your energy and your commitment will rub off tomorrow on our larger audience. Thank you very much.